Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now, today's first story comes from I Am Future Disciple from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, I hurt my husband in an argument and he won't talk to me now. How do I fix this? It starts. My husband, 32 male, and I, 31 female, have been together for 7 years and married for 5. We have a 3.5 son and a 1-year daughter. His parents passed away when he was 20. To describe it shortly, he despises his father to this day. His father ruined his promising athletic future. He was once ranked in the top 10 nationally at this sport and forced him to focus on school. My husband was accepted to multiple Ivy League schools and his father refused to pay tuition as well. His father was a control freak, physically abusive towards him and refused to entertain any opposing opinions. My husband vowed to himself to never be like his father and to always encourage his future kids' interests and opportunities. He's always been an amazing husband to me and our kids. He makes spending time with us a priority, keeps our relationship fun and exciting, and just always makes me feel beautiful and appreciated. We've been going through a bit of a rough patch for a few weeks, and we were arguing about something that wasn't even worth arguing about in hindsight. He said that he was done arguing and walked away mid-conversation. I blurted out, "You are just like your father." As soon as I said that, I immediately tried apologizing and ran to him and tried to hug him. He refused my hug, looked at me, shook his head and walked out the door. A whole day passed and I hadn't seen or heard from him. I called, texted and left many voicemails apologizing and asking him to please come home. I reached out to his friends and they had not heard from him either. He walked in drunk at 4 a.m. the next night, collapsed on our couch. I heard him come in and ran downstairs to see him. He was slurring his words and was saying things like, "I'm not like him," and "Why would you say that?" I just held him in my arms all night long and apologized many times. It's been another 2 days and my husband refuses to talk or look at me. He's not even eating anything I make. I've tried talking to him and apologizing. He just looks at me and says, "It's just another thing I have to live with," and walks away from wherever I am. I have no idea how to fix this. I didn't mean to hurt him, but the fact he feels betrayed by the one person he should feel supported and uplifted by, me, is absolutely the love of my life, and it hurts me knowing that I caused him to feel this pain. Please advise what I can do or say to fix this. Now, I'm trying to find a reason why you would actually use those words against him. Your first paragraph did nothing but praise him and told us about how he's nothing like his bio dad and how he was abusive towards him. So to compare him, to say you're just like your father must have been devastating for him. He's done everything not to be like that man, to be a good husband, a fantastic dad, and you hurt him in the lowest way possible. I'm not sure what you can do apart from just let him have his space and gather his thoughts, couples counseling possibly, a safe space where he can talk about the pain you've just caused him. Although really, you already know. But it really did feel like you did try to cause him pain. Why would you say that otherwise? Tifuenti says, great. In order to win a stupid argument, you had to give him a low blow using what was a thing he only confided to a person he truly trusted and loved by what it looks. To win a fucking argument. You must be proud of yourself. It will really be worth it in the long run. You will see. You're the arsehole. Nova Prime says, all the way through reading this, I was praying you wouldn't say those words. I honestly thought you weren't that stupid, but you were and are. I'm beyond disgusted, so I can only imagine how he feels. You took his deepest trauma and wielded it against him in a petty argument, achieving maximum damage. Congratulations for re-traumatizing an abuse victim. You're the arsehole. This isn't even a question. Judging A-holes replies that and says, yes, 100% this. I feel so sorry for him. You're the arsehole and I'm calling on OP's absolute bullshit. And quotes, I didn't mean to hurt him, but the fact he feels betrayed by the one person he should feel supported and uplifted by, me, And then says, so what exactly was "you're just like your father" supposed to achieve other than hurting him? As he said, why would you have said that? And how else was he supposed to feel other than betrayal to the person that, I'm going to use another user's wording here, wielded his deepest trauma against him? Space Jesus here says, damn, I wasn't ready to read that. My bio dad was a piece of trash. Part of what ended a 6-year relationship for me was my girlfriend saying to me, what you said to your husband. I didn't end things because I was angry. I ended it because for the next 6 months, I tried to make it work. I couldn't think about anything other than, does she really think I'm like him? I just couldn't trust what she thought of me anymore. Any small disagreement we had made me worry she'd say it again. I don't know if it's fixable, but I guess here's what I learned from the situation. I didn't want an apology. I needed to believe that she didn't mean it, not even a little. I couldn't be with someone who saw me like that or could say that to me. It just broke my trust and we couldn't fix it. He needs to believe deep down that you didn't mean it. He also needs to understand why you said it and why he can trust you won't say it next time. I don't know how you do that, but I wish you luck. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Also, yes, you're the arsehole. One more comment from Unicorn Queen Faye, who says you're the arsehole. You did mean to hurt him. That's why you said what you said. The first thing you need to do is come to terms with that, to try and heal from that place. If you can't be honest with why you said it, then any apology will be coming from a place of dishonesty. Second is, while his reaction is valid, his level of feeling defeated is telling me one thing. This isn't the first time he has felt this way with you. Not to this level of hurt, sure, but clearly he has been working very hard to break cycles and rise above, and you are not what? Appreciating his attempts, asking for more, being dismissive. What are you not telling us? My husband and I are both breaking cycles of our own, and we are both vicious when it comes to how we argue, and we both have said things to hurt to the bone, but we always come back because we both know everything else is, and the work we do is appreciated. What have you done to break him down to this being the reason he's defeated? So OP came in with her update and says, I got some comments and some messages trashing my husband for walking away from the argument that started all of this and saying he is like his father. I'm not going to say what the argument was about here, but it was pointless and walking away from it was the mature thing to do. He's the best husband and father anyone could ask for. Even when he wasn't talking to me, he was still spending time with and taking care of the kids. Think whatever you want of me. I deserve it, but leave him out of it. On to the actual update. My husband came home after work the next day and brought takeout for dinner. We had dinner as a family for the first time in a few days and put the kids to bed together. I asked if we could talk. I apologized and admitted that I was tired of all the arguments we were having lately, and in the heat of the moment, I wanted to hurt him, and said what would hurt them most. He said that he knows he is nothing like his father, and why I thought he was. I promised that I don't believe that at all and told him all the great things he does for me and our children. I told him that I would see a therapist to figure out what made me say what I did and to make sure it never happened again. The conversation lasted about an hour and a half and ended with him telling me that it would take some time, but we would be okay, as long as I never compared him to his father again. We kissed and slept together for the first time since the incident. In the next few days, there was still a certain coldness about him. He was still happy to spend time with the kids, but was still somewhat cold with me. I wrote him a letter telling him how much I loved and appreciated him and promised to never hurt him again, and slipped it into his lunch bag. He came home with flowers for me that day. Our normal vibe has somewhat returned, and it looks like we will be good going forward. And the general vibe of the comments in the update, a comment from Fragrant Spray said, just so you understand, you can sweep this under the rug, but it never actually goes away. The thing that hurts him the most was the idea you might actually believe that he's like his father. He's willing to ignore it for now, but he's never going to forget it. Your current apology is at least trying to address those concerns. The second issue is that even if he eventually comes to accept that you don't believe he's anything like his father, what's he left with? The knowledge that you will say anything in an argument just to win. Even worse than that, you will take the insecurities he shared with you and weaponize them against him, which sounds like exactly what happened here. When women complain that men don't want to be vulnerable, this is exactly why. Some guys learn that sharing their issues is largely just providing ammunition for your partner to attack you with later. There was a few comments similar to that as well. Other people just telling OP, you deserved the "you're the arseholes" in the first post, and hopefully you continue to improve your behavior, maybe go to therapy, but never go down that path again. And that she puts in the work to improve that and make her husband feel safe again. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if you was a partner and your partner hurt you in this way? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, "Am I the arsehole for not giving my adopted daughter a stuffed animal for our high school graduation when both of my biological children got one? I, 49 female, have 3 children, 22 female, 19 male, and 18 female. My oldest are my biological children from a previous marriage, and my youngest I became a mother to at the age of 2 when I married her widowed father. She has only ever called me mum, and I officially adopted her at the age of 12. Now on to the issue with the stuffed animals. Years and years ago, when I was only 20 and in college, I worked at a children's museum. I adored the job and working with kids, and had the idea to buy stuffed animals from the gift shop to be my future kids' first stuffed animals whenever they were born. I'd gotten a stuffed bear at birth that was very special to me growing up, and on my 18th birthday, my parents gifted me a duplicate that they had bought way back when and kept for me all these years. I found this so special and wanted to do something similar, so I bought 6 stuffed animals from the museum gift shop, 3 to be given at birth and 3 duplicates. I had no idea at the time how many kids I would have, but I knew I wasn't planning on having more than 3, so I didn't get any more. My first daughter received the stuffed animal I selected for her while pregnant, and between her birth and the birth of my son, I miscarried. The experience was deeply traumatic for me. Especially I miscarried in my 2nd trimester, and I buried my baby with a stuffed animal they would have gotten. I kept the duplicate too for comfort, to cuddle and hold. Finally my son was born and received the last of the stuffed animals I had set aside so many years ago. Now here's where I may be the arsehole. For both my daughter and son's high school graduations, I surprised them with the duplicates for them to take to college with them and compare against the stuffies they've been loving on their whole lives. Both were very moved by this and took both original and duplicate to school with them. My youngest, however, never received a stuffed animal, and so when her graduation celebration rolled along, I had no duplicate to gift her. I watched her unpack all her gifts, and her face fell when she got to the last one and realized. She didn't really say anything, just got this super sad look on her face and excused herself to her room. I followed to ask what was wrong, but she said she didn't want to talk to me. So her father went instead. According to him, she cried to him that she didn't feel as loved by me as her siblings, and as much as a part of the family, the unwrapping of her sibling stuffed animals were very emotional events, and she had the expectation that she'd be getting the same. In hindsight, I could have easily done something similar for her whenever I first came into her life, even if it wouldn't have been from the museum. I just didn't think of it. She'd been cold to me this entire last week, and I feel so terrible. I've offered to take her out to a special dinner, the 2 of us, to make amends, but she turned me down. Am I the arsehole? So, in the comments, Mrs. Adams says, "You're the arsehole. Nothing quite says you're not like my other kids, like leaving her out of a family tradition when her turn came. I'm sorry about the loss of your baby and understand why you kept that stuffed animal for your own. However, the tradition could have started with her when she joined your family at age 2. Or when you formally adopted her." Smartass Mouth says, "You're the arsehole. Your kids grew up together, and for years you've never once thought to go out and buy 2 stuffed animals for your adopted daughter." Queen Kesha says, "Right, in 16 years and after giving 2 other bears away, she didn't once think, hey, what about the youngest?" Smartass replies again saying, "Right, she liked the daughter's dad enough to marry him, but didn't think that it would be a good idea to give the 2-year-old a stuffy at the wedding." OP came in and said, "The votes are in, and I am definitely the arsehole. Many of you are suggesting that I get her a stuffy that reminds me of her, or maybe to get her 2 so she can continue the tradition with her future kids. I think what I will do is gift her the duplicate my parents gifted me of my special plush bear I received at birth, which is one of my most treasured possessions and deeply meaningful to me. Thank you all for the advice. It is genuinely appreciated. Opie updated the post 6 days later and says, long story short, my daughter found my Reddit post and came to me in tears apologizing for her reaction. This was not my expectation, and I assured her she had nothing to apologize for, as I had been in the wrong. We had a long discussion about the situation, our feelings, and how to move forward from this. And although I know she is still hurt, we're on our way to making amends. Long story long, so what even happened? As I've now discovered, my daughter loves browsing Am I the Arsehole. She stumbled on my post, and after reading it in its entirety, as well as a good chunk of the comments, all mine and many left by other Redditors, she came to me in tears apologizing for her reaction. She sobbed in my arms that she didn't want this to be the end of our relationship and that she was sorry and wanted to enjoy this last summer together. I held her and assured her that she had nothing to apologize for and apologized myself. I did shed a little tear, but tried to keep my emotions in check because I did not want the burden of comforting me to be on her. What followed was a productive but incredibly emotional, vulnerable conversation, the details of which I will not disclose entirely. She's been going through a rough time, and my impression, I could be wrong, is that the lack of a stuffy at graduation was a catalyst for bigger emotions. She did take me up on my offer to take her to dinner, and I've now booked a reservation at a nice restaurant she's been wanting to go to for a while. And last night, we cooked her favourite dinner together, which gave us an opportunity to smooth things over somewhat. We have not yet broached the subject of me intending to gift her my own plush, except for very briefly. She insisted I didn't have to, and seemed to feel a lot of guilt, but I still plan to. I just feel it would be best to wait until things have cooled down. And if she truly doesn't feel comfortable taking it, I plan on getting a bear of a similar look to be its little brother for her to take care of. That's the update. Obviously things have not magically mended overnight, but we are finally on track to a resolution. Many thanks to all that left advice, and please check the comments below for clarification on many questions asked before passing any judgments. I far exceeded the allowed word limit and have instead pasted much of what I intended to say here below. A round encircled comments on that one said, read your first post in this one, and I feel it from both sides. My wife and I recently adopted a bio-niece, 13-year-old this week, and she welcomes us as dad and mum. But we've run into a number of times where the kids will pull out something from a trip we went on, or an activity we did, etc., years before she was ever in our lives, and she'd go, why didn't you have one of those for me? It's really hard. Some of these things are simply impossible for us to get and / all would cost us thousands of dollars, when we already spent 30+K on custody and adoption lawyers and court fees. She also didn't even bring anything with her when we picked her up. She wasn't even allowed to bring a change of underwear. It's been something that we've had to deal with in counseling, that her life with us didn't start until she was almost 12, and we have to begin fresh from there. We cannot turn back the clock and give her back her entire childhood she missed, like when we went camping for the first time with her, and we're getting things out to visually see what we needed to get from the store. When we pulled out the kids' sleeping bags, and she was like, where is mine? And the fact that we didn't already have one hurt her. Glum Hamster says, and that doesn't make you an arsehole. I hope no one will call you one. Situations change and you're not always able to make up for it. OP didn't do this to hurt her daughter. And it's weird people are painting it that way. Hope things are going well with you all in therapy and your family is making great strides together. The OP left a comment as well and says, when I initially posted to Am I the Arsehole, I was prepared to face judgment and open to constructive criticism. However, while I did receive many constructive comments, which I truly appreciate, I received many more that were hateful and unconstructive, and I will admit I did get defensive. The attitude I took on in the comments is not one I brought into my interactions with my daughter. Please understand that I did not throw in her face all the kind things I feel I've done for her over the years, but was rather attempting to contextualize our relationship for strangers who's never met us. And before passing any further judgment in the comments, please check below for answers to a lot of your questions. A lot of the questions asked in the original thread. To answer a few questions, why did I not adopt her until 10 years after I came into her life? Because I never sought to force myself on her as a mother and waited until she could give me explicit consent to adopt her. Why did I never buy her any stuffed animals? I did. I bought her many when I first met her, as well as one for her official adoption day, and every adoption day celebration since. And I did technically gift her a stuffed animal for her graduation too. It was just a plush of her college's mascot, rather than a duplicate of a treasured plush from her childhood. So why did I not buy her a duplicate at any point over the last 16 years? I did not think to until my oldest graduated and received hers, by which point I mistakenly felt the significance would be lost. Both my bio kids received stuffies saved for them for decades, whereas she would have received one saved for only 4 years. Instead, I tried to honor her in other ways, such as I described in the comments, crafting her a cookbook of generational family recipes I illustrated by hand, because she is her own individual. Truthfully, while I understand the sentiments expressed in the comments, I don't believe recognizing differences is inherently a bad thing. The duplicate stuffies my bio kids received were duplicates of the very first stuffies to ever be in their crib with them. The receival of them was a birth event. I did not give birth to my youngest, but that does not mean I love her any less, or that she is any less my daughter. We have established our own traditions honoring her entry into my life, such as our celebration of her adoption day. And while I realize I could have handled the stuffy situation better, I do believe it was an honest mistake. But how could I not include her in a treasured family tradition, knowing how important it is, especially as an adopted child, to feel part of the family? Because I truly did not realize this one specific tradition meant as much to her as it did. I've strived to include her in as many family traditions as possible throughout the years. As I mentioned in the comments, she speaks German because I taught and spoke it to her growing up, even though her father does not. We celebrate German traditions such as baking countless batches of German Christmas cookies together every year, just the two of us. Neither of our siblings have any interest in baking, which is something I grew up doing with my mum, and every year it is quality time I deeply treasure. For her 16th birthday, I gifted her the locket my mother gifted me on my 16th, which she had been gifted by my grandmother before me. This actually upset my eldest daughter, who had not received such a hand-me-down, and this is just to name a few. So given the fact that she has on occasion received and taken part in traditions my other kids have been excluded from, I did not think the stuffy would carry as much weight as it ultimately did. But isn't her reaction an indication that there are larger issues at play, and that she has likely felt this way for a while? Perhaps. I'm not a perfect adoptive mother, and have never claimed to be. I cannot see inside her brain, so I cannot know her true feelings. But my sense, and I may be wrong, is that the larger issues at play relate back to her bio mum, which is something she expressed to me in our conversation. I did not disclose this in my original post because I did not believe it to be relevant, and it is also a painful topic within our family. Her bio mum committed suicide while she was in the thick of postpartum depression. This has obviously impacted my daughter, who has been in and out of therapy for years grappling with feelings of loss and guilt. She is highly sensitive to feeling isolated within our family unit, which is something I should have taken into account in this situation, and I own that. I realize this is a huge hunk of text, but given the visceral reaction many had, I felt it was important to cover my bases. Come to whatever conclusions you all like. I will likely not be checking the comments for my own mental health and the well-being of my family. To all who left genuine advice, even if that meant calling me an arsehole, I truly do appreciate you. And to all who said hateful things, especially in regards to the loss of my baby, please consider the impact that your words may have moving forward. A couple of comments from the top on that one. Rice Correct says, "You're a good mum. It might have been a mistake not to gift her the plush, and it might have, as you said, just have been indicative of some larger emotions going on, as graduating is a huge milestone, and going to college is an enormous life change that is very rewarding and exciting, but also stressful. But it sounds like you've been amazing about creating beautiful memories and experiences together. I think at some point the plush will be a distant memory. From your post, it seems pretty clear you do have a good relationship, and you're a caring, empathetic parent. Enjoy your summer together, mama." Charlie says, "Don't take the hateful comments personally. It's easy to be cruel online to a faceless stranger. Also, your original post didn't include all this info. It would have been impossible to anyway, and therefore lacked a lot of the backstory and nuance that, frankly, a real person's life experiences encompasses. Your daughter probably saw your post and realized how her reaction hurt your feelings, and read the hateful comments and felt bad for you. It sounds like you have a great relationship, and you're lucky to have each other in your lives." And this was a post from some time ago, and there was never any further update on that. Like Opie said, they won't be coming back into the post, so they didn't. And there was a bit of a mix of comments below that. There was like, although we read two, which was, you know, saying that they're a good mum and don't take the comments personally. There's other people saying that communication wins the day. Other people questioning how she actually forgot that tradition in any way. And a lot of people still massively unhappy with the OP. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.